You guys asked me, like fucking hounded me in chat to discuss the lore reveals that Wowhead just shared with us here. Now, of course, I'm still waiting for my collector's edition. I don't know when it's going to be here with South African customs. It could be forever, right? It could literally never arrive. There's every chance that it would never arrive. But I did promise that we would do this as sort of the end of the stream, so here we are. 2 hours ago, Wowhead released the lore reveals that comes from the Shadows Collector's Edition, or Shadowlands Collector's Edition art book, which I cannot wait to get my fucking hands on. But, alright, so here we go. Zone overviews. The Shadowlands art book is divided into chapters featuring each zone: Oribos, Bastion, Maldraxxus, Ardenweald, Revendreth, and the Maw. Unsurprisingly, many of the juiciest revelations come from the Maw chapter, of course, because the Maw chapter is the one area that we know very little about. It's the one area that we just, at this point, have received almost no story on. When you go to the Maw for the very first time, there's a little bit of story that kind of sets you up in the Maw. But after that, there's nothing that really gives us any ability to dive into the story of the Maw. Which is, I think, one of the problems I have with the Maw right now, is you don't get to dive into the story. It just kind of sets you on the path of doing things in the Maw, and sort of gives you a base of operations to start from. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Oribos, with the Jailer occupying such prominent position in the Maw chapter, it's fitting that the Arbiter, his visual opposite, has a mention in the Oribos section. I still, there's something very strange between these two. Like, there's a link between these two that we could speculate on forever. But something's going on between these two. The fact that the Jailer despises her as much as he does, this should tell us that there is some kind of history there where whatever she did, he blames her for something. By every joy and sorrow, the Arbiter judges all mortal souls and sets them on their intended path. Without her guidance, those souls would be forever lost within the infinite realms of the Shadowlands. I think this is a lie. Without her guidance, yeah, no. With her guidance, we get sent to our eternal, shall we say, servitude within the Shadowlands. Without her guidance, we would have gone to the realms that we choose. The realms that we wanted to go to. That's where we would have gone. But anyways, Bastion. The Bastion chapter discusses the purpose of the inhabitants and the role of the Valkyr. But let's face it, we're here for the owls. Are we really? Man, I wish I had this. Your purpose as a steward is service to all those whom the Arbiter deemed worthy to call Bastion home. Success in your duties ensures success for others and theirs. Bastion could not function without you. So, we made mention of this when we played through Bastion for the very first time. The denizens of Bastion pretty much claimed straight up that these little owlkin things, they literally live to serve. They are the servants of everyone within the Shadowlands. But then at the same time, one of your soulbinds is actually one of these owlkin things. So they do seem to have the ability to think for themselves. They do seem to have the ability to reason and argue and think, and yet they've just been relegated to servant. Something doesn't smell right. Just my own opinion. And I think it was clear by chat's reaction to when that was said in Bastion as well. Like, almost no one in chat was okay with what was said there. Everyone had, like, red flags everywhere as soon as that was said. Maldraxxus houses the military might of the Shadowlands, protecting the realms from threats as we saw in Afterlives. One of the pages reveals the interesting tidbit that the first ones created Maldraxxus, a mysterious set of godlike forces that are tied to the pantheon of death. While we've met the rulers of each Shadowlands realm, we don't know too much about the first one, so hearing about their actions is exciting. Now that is actually more exciting than what you can think. Wowed. The first ones who shaped the cosmos knew they needed to protect the Shadowlands from eternal threats and beyond. Maldraxxus was their answer. This is actually a massive reveal. So first and foremost, if you play through the different realms, you get this, it's sort of confirmed that the Winter Queen, for example, designed and built Ardenweald herself. The Winter Queen designed Ardenweald. The Ardenweald wasn't built by someone else. It was the Winter Queen. By design, we just assumed that that would mean that all of the other realms within the Shadowlands was also built by their given Eternal One, for example. So the Winter Queen building Ardenweald tells us that most likely the Primus built Maldraxxus, and Sire Denathrius built Revendreth, and so forth and so on. The fact that the book, at least, seems to say, no, absolutely not. It was the first ones that created Maldraxxus. Why, though? If the first ones up until now have pretty much stayed out of any conflict, they don't interfere with conflict, why was this such an important thing for them to build? Why did they want to keep the Shadowlands safe? What was their thinking behind this? And could it be that the original purpose, the original defense that Maldraxxus was meant to be, got corrupted by the Eternal Ones? Just thinking. And then, of course, I need this book. Ardenweald. Ardenweald is closely linked to the Emerald Dream. As I've said before, a place where wild gods and other beings of nature can regenerate until they once again enter the world. In this chapter, the relationship between the Dream and Ardenweald is laid out very clearly. Ardenweald and the Emerald Dream are opposite blooms connected to the same tree. If the Dream is the personification of life in the waxing stage, then Ardenweald is life when it is waning. So, the fact that it again uses this tree, Ardenweald and the Emerald Dream are opposite blooms connected to the same tree. Remember when I told you guys that the trees on Azeroth, the world trees of Azeroth, is somehow connected or somehow plays a part in Ardenweald? We already know that the world trees on Azeroth connect denizens of Azeroth to the Dream. Now that we know for a fact that the Dream is the connection to Ardenweald, this gives us at least more insight into the world trees, but more importantly, this tells us what the Nathrezim were talking about when they said they may have found a weakness. The Dream was that weakness. It was the Dream that they found that provided them with this weakness into the Shadowlands, because they are connected to each other. So once you can gain access to the Dream, you automatically will also be able to gain access to Ardenweald. Revendreth. The narrator of Revendreth chapter is unreliable, glorifying Denathrius even though we as the reader know better. This narrative device was used with similar effectiveness in the Afterlife cinematic. Here we see the narrator dismiss the importance of humility, referencing Revendreth's corruption and disregard for their entrusted souls. Learned humility was supposed to be the destiny of souls entrusted to our care. I fear those archaic ways no longer have a place within Revendreth. We also have a line discussing the Light's attack on Denathrius' lab. Oh, this is going to be interesting. The Ember Ward shall forever bear the scars of the Light's unjust strike against the Venthyr. To even humor the idea that our beloved sire did anything to incur the Light's wrath would be an act of sedition. Now, there is hints within Revendreth as to why the Light attacked, and they do seem to point to Denathrius doing something to sort of invite the ire of the Light. So Denathrius did something to the Light, and the Light reacted. The Light very much struck a pretty serious blow to Revendreth, and the reason they could do that is the Venthyr has a natural weakness to light. They can't exist within the Light, and so the Light had a pretty easy path to destroying, or trying to destroy the Venthyr at least, but of course we know they were stopped. The Light didn't destroy the whole of Revendreth. This of course tells us that the Revendreth have long not been the world or the realm that we thought it was, or that we were told it was. Because he pretty much states here, learned humility was supposed to be the destiny of souls. So they sort of realized, no, fuck this. Our job really isn't to learn or teach people how to be humble. Instead, we'll just do whatever the fuck we want. And use those souls as much as we like. The Ember Ward is like one of those places that I really want to learn about. Like, I need to know more about the Ember Ward before we can really, I think, go all out on it. You'll find a lot of the Venthyr in the Ember Ward. They're actually sent there as punishment. Just FYI. When you do something against the Venthyr that they don't like, they actually throw you into the Ember Ward, where the Light kind of burns you away entirely. Or at least burns away what makes you human, if you will. Bolvar framing device. The art book opens and closes with quotes from Bolvar emphasizing the evil of the jailer and power of the Helm of Domination. The information we learn in the Maw chapter about the jailer's plan and purpose for the Helm of Domination adds increased urgency to Bolvar's statement. Death was not the end I believed it to be. No rest or joyous reunions in the light awaited me. What I witnessed challenged all I knew. With my final breath, I saw impossible places, worlds within worlds brimming with beings that defied description. It wasn't until the Helm of Domination was placed upon my head that I understood the truth I had seen. Death is not an end, but a beginning. The Lich King. Of course, this we've already known. This we've known for quite some time, ever since Shadowlands was announced. But I still think it's a pretty good opening. Alright, and then we get, of course, now you have seen as I have. Sights never meant for living eyes. But this knowledge will not save you. Nothing can stop what Sylvanas set into motion. Rending the veil was just the beginning. Beyond the ruined sky awaits an evil older than reality itself. This is a very interesting word choice. Beyond the ruined sky awaits an evil older than reality itself. Now, of course, as many people will note, I do not have the cosmological map on my PC because it's more fun when I have to search for it every single time. It's far more fun this way. I just need this picture, actually. Alright, so reality lies right in the middle, yeah? Right in the middle. So this tells us, and this actually feeds quite amazingly. On Sunday, you guys will hear, during the Shill Show, the speculations that myself and the Lore Council have been coming up with over the course of the last week. But this fits Apocalypse perfectly into at least one of our theories. Because this confirms that reality wasn't built at the same time as the other cosmological forces. Reality came after it. This is pretty huge. The jailer has been amassing power within his maw, and soon his patience shall be rewarded. Everything we sacrifice to save Azeroth will have been in vain. The only key to saving our world lies within the realm of death. Suffer well, Bolvar 4 Dragon. This still is just the most interesting line you can possibly think of. This word turns this entire thing just absolutely crazy. Beyond the sky awaits an evil older than reality itself. Now, of course, this might just be Bolvar's interpretation. Bolvar might not exactly know this, but it's still pretty fucking interesting. Maw The Jailors Plan. The chapter on the Maw emphasizes the vile, miserable nature of this prison and the many sins of the jailer. We open with a dark introduction to the zone and the jailer's many crimes. Blizzard is really building up the jailer's villainy, which is needed after several ambiguous, morally grey expansions, and plot twists that have conditioned us not to take descriptions at face value. Everything in this chapter paints the jailer as an unredeemable or irredeemable character, very much in the wrong and deserving of his punishment. In the deepest depths of the Shadowlands lies the inescapable Maw. The souls imprisoned in this hopeless realm are the unforgiven and irredeemable, but even their crimes cannot compare to those of their jailer, and so it was decreed that he would be condemned to the Maw, where he would forever be its jailer. What could he possibly have done? We then see artwork from the Runeforger, a mysterious character in Torghast who has lost his memories but uses his ancient knowledge to craft Shadowlands legendaries. A popular fan theory is that the Primus, the former ruler of Maldraxxus and master tactician, is actually the Runeforger. When we step foot into Shadowlands, the Primus is already missing, but he left messages for us to save the Shadowlands in case the jailer defeats him. The corresponding art book caption furthers this theory, as the Primus would have been twisted beyond recognition to serve the jailer after years of fighting against him. Souls damned to the Maw suffer within end. They are twisted until only a mere shade of their former glory remains. It is then that the tormented willing serve their tormentor. So, pretty much does throw a lot of those theories 100% just smack bang into it, if you guys think about it. A lot of our theories right now, this kind of smacks it into place. So, whatever the jailer did, and we still don't actually know what he did. We just know that he did something. Something that was so evil, so irredeemable that... And, okay, so in order for this to make sense, we first have to quickly look at the Titans. Because looking at what we know about the Titans would give us some insights into what the Eternal Ones may be as well. So the Titans do not believe in killing each other, right? For the Titans, killing another Titan is a grave sin, something that you absolutely must never do, right? You're not allowed to kill another Titan. Now, if we think that the Titans were created by the same first ones that created the Eternal Ones, then it means that that sort of rule would probably have been imprinted upon themselves in the same vein, right? That sort of rule would have been imprinted upon themselves in the same way. Look at what they did with Sargeras. Sargeras stabbed Azeroth. He went throughout. He killed his own brothers, or at least tried to kill his own brothers and sisters. And even after all of that, they still only pulled him away. And his final words, the final words is, "Brother, your crusade is over." Right? So they pull him back to the Pantheon, where they'll probably now reason with him and try to convince him that what he's done is wrong, rather than try to imprison him, because we do see the final moments he is on the Pantheon. Yeah? So he is on the Pantheon, he is there. So clearly, not even banishment for Sargeras is an option for the Titans. So what in the hell did the jailer Zuvul do to deserve banishment? Eternal banishment. Now, could it be that he's tormenting side, the fact that he torments his the charges, the people that's placed in his care to be jailed, could that be a link, maybe a little bit of an insight into exactly who this jailer is, why he is inside the Maw? Perhaps he killed someone. Perhaps the jailer killed one of their brothers or sisters. And this is why they had to banish him. Because as we already know, this is not something that is allowed. This is not something that they would allow. Alright, so what is known is rumor. And the rumor is a nightmare. His soldiers are the very worst the Dam have to offer. And are eternally loyal to the very hand that broke them. This at least tells us what's going to happen to Arthas. Arthas was thrown into the Maw. He would have spent the last, how many years being tortured and tormented by the jailer? The jailer would have broken him already, and Arthas would now be a loyal soldier. Remember what Thrall said at the beginning of at the beginning of Shadowlands. Thrall states that the jailer personally oversaw their treatment there. And at times it felt more like he was testing them. Now we know why he was testing them. He wanted to make sure if they could be loyal. Once he breaks them, would they be loyal soldiers? Would they be willing to fight for him? Now, of course, we know that he didn't have to do this to Sylvanas. Sylvanas willingly joined him. But to what end? What is that end exactly? Sylvanas doesn't play a large role in the book, but we have concept art for her new armor, paired with a Maw-sworn Valkyr. Her pact with the jailer began in the short story Edge of Night, where she was given Valkyr as protectors in return for accepting the jailer's bargain. The story is touched upon in the caption, reiterating the protective nature of the Valkyr. We learn that Sylvanas' return to Azeroth, armed with Valkyr, was done with the sole purpose to take Bolvar's crown, the Helm of Domination. He would send those Valkyr to serve her as her tethers to mortality. A pact needed to be made. Only then could she return beyond the veil. Only then will the Banshee Queen claim the crown of the false king. So they do kind of confirm this now, right? They do kind of confirm now. The only reason Sylvanas ever came back was to claim the Helm of Domination. Every decision she has made has ultimately been for that single moment, to claim that helm. Now, of course, there might be another question to this. Was the plan always for her to break the helm? Or was that her own plan? Was it always to break the helm? Or was it actually to don the helm? This we do not know. But that was why she was sent back. And she does look absolutely fucking boss. Seriously, she does look absolutely boss. Although this is Moorsworn, not Valkyr. This is the Moorsworn that we're looking at here, not the Valkyr. But still, same thing.
Concept art for her new armor, paired with a Moorsworn Valkyr.
Finally, towards the end of the book, we learn the truth about the Helm of Domination. The crown is the key to the Jailors' plan to gain power, and as Bolvar, the one seared by the flames of life, resisted the power inside the helm, the Jailer needed Sylvanas to defeat Bolvar and seize the helm. For the past few expansions, Sylvanas has been enhancing her powers through death, until she was strong enough to defeat Bolvar and shatter the Helm of Domination, as per the Jailors' plan. As I've said before, this plays directly into the Ascended, the Shadow Ascended story. From a lore perspective, this is something that undead creatures touched by necromancy can do. They can embrace death, and by embracing death, they can finally gain more and more power within death. But it is something that creatures touched by necromancy can do. The veil between realms wanes. The Helm of Domination was crafted to be our way forward. Instead, the one seared by the flames of life uses it to keep us at bay. The Helm of Domination was crafted to be our way forward. Alright, so this confirms, Apocalypse, this kind of shoots down one of our theories a little bit. Because this now confirms that the Helm of Domination was sent to Azeroth specifically. It does confirm one of my older theories, just FYI. Remember I told you guys that I think the Jailer used the Nathrezim to send the Helm of Domination to Azeroth? This confirms it. This has always been the Jailer's plan. He needed that helm, and that helm would open the way for them. But of course, Bolvar stepped in and sort of interfered with those plans. Another piece of Shadowlands lore, enemy infiltration, strongly hints that the Nathrezim have been working with the Jailer all along. We have our own theory around this. The Nathrezim doesn't appear to... let me just not spoil that for you guys. Final shot, Spire of the Unseen Guests. Clearly avoided mentions of the Nathrezim in the art book, just providing us... Yeah, because the Nathrezim is going to be a very different sort of... expansion. The Nathrezim will be a different expansion. Almost guaranteed. But yeah. So I'm glad I actually went through this book. Thank you so much to everyone that hounded me in chat to go through it and to sort of give you guys some of the insights and my opinions on what is going on here. This will almost guaranteed feature in Sunday Night Chill Show, because there's a lot of things that we do need to look at here to sort of figure out exactly where the story is going next, right? What is going to happen next with this story? None of this at the moment, I can say, fits in perfectly with all of my theories, but it does actually take... Like, I always know that not every single one of my theories is going to come true, because that's not the point. The point is to just come up with cool stories that we can all sort of argue over, right? But this does actually confirm a lot of our theories, right? It does actually put a lot of our theories into the realm of WoW. This seems extremely plausible. This seems, even more than that, it seems possible. As if this is exactly what will happen. So I'm very much looking forward to how exactly all of these stories are going to play out and where all of these stories are going to play out. But right now, I'm very happy that I rate this. At least I'm very unhappy that I still don't have my fucking collector's edition. It would have been great if I could have my collector's edition already so that I could read the book for myself, if that makes sense, because I don't know what they left out. I mean, they considered the Maw to be the best one, and just in the literally in the Maldraxxus one, we already got a massive reveal. So personally, I would like to see the book myself so that I can decide what is actually the best and what is actually the biggest reveals within this book. But yeah, I'm definitely going to have a link for you guys to this if you want to check it out yourself. Very cool. So thank you so much to all of you in chat that's hounded me to go over this book. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I know I fucking loved it. But I want to hear from you. What's your thoughts? What's your notions? Let me know.